Welcome to the In Business Talks to Friday Fix.
Have you recently taken the bold step of starting your own business and you're navigating the exciting yet sometimes daunting waters of entrepreneurship?
Whether you're a newbie to the business world or someone who's just dipping their toes into the entrepreneurial waters, our YouTube channel is tailored to meet your needs.
People start a business for many different reasons. It might be out of necessity, perhaps through a life-changing incident, or you may have been in the corporate world and feel you can do it better yourself, or perhaps you've turned your passion into a budding business. Whatever the reason, it doesn't necessarily equip you for running a business.
That's definitely not to say that you can't. We're Ian and Tracy, and we run a successful business networking group for the past 5 years. During that time, we've met so many business owners who will openly admit that when they started their businesses, they faced challenges because there's so much more to running a business than being good at what you do.
For this Friday Fix video podcast series, we've got together with some great business owners who will share their expertise in bite-sized chunks to help you succeed on your business and personal journey.
These easy to digest videos will empower you to take confident steps forward to grow and develop.
Subscribe to our Friday Fix now and embark on a journey of learning, growth, and achievement. Remember, every successful entrepreneur was once a beginner, and we're here to make sure your beginning is nothing short of remarkable. Enjoy.
Welcome to our Friday Fix today. We have with us Alan Lazenby of Lazenby's Financial Services. Welcome, Alan.
How do?
Welcome, Alan. Good to see you, as ever. Good to see you. So I suppose before we start and we get into your chosen topic, shall we find out a little bit more about what you do? Tell us what you do, Alan.
Oh, I stop people worrying about money. That's the easiest way to look at it. The more money that you gain over the years, because it does take years to gather it up, you tend to get nervous and more concerned. And the older you get, the more concerned you get. So my job is to reduce worry and really to uh, well, half of returns are based on emotion. So it's really to try to manage people's emotions with their money. And I've been doing that for 27 years. And I manage tens of millions of pounds under the firm Lazenby's with me and my team.
Excellent. Cool. Okay then. So I know today we've got you on today to talk about. I think it's probably one of your favourite topics. I know you probably help your clients out a lot with this one. And I think you title it, "What is your number?" Is that right?
Yeah, what's your number? Everyone needs a number. And without a number, you don't know what the direction is. So, that's absolutely my favourite discussion with cats. One of my favourite discussions.
Yes, of course.
Know me as a chatty fella anyway, the best of the time.
Yes,
And
so it's about talking about planning, isn't it, for your financial goals?
Yeah,
That's
it is. It's trying to get some idea around. The problem is people have some sort of vague idea of when they want to pack in work, and they have some sort of vague idea what they would like to do, but without a time frame, without any numbers behind them, then they're going to continue to be vague. And as you guys know, when you're setting, especially business goals, if they're vague, they're not going to hit them because you don't really
yeah,
know what you're supposed to be hitting.
Yeah, they need to be specific, don't
yeah,
they, and
yeah.
measurable,
Absolutely.
yes.
Yeah. So, shall I dive in?
Yeah, please. Yeah,
Absolutely,
tell us the
yes.
process. Yeah, pretend we're clients. What would you say
Oh,
to your clients? Yeah, go. Let's go through the
well,
process
shall we
steps.
do it that way?
Yeah.
So, there are three reasons why people invest, and there are only three. And people think there's all these fancy, complex reasons. That's because they want to make it complex. And anything can be as complex as you like, and finance and law and areas of complexity like that can bamboozle the best of us. So the three reasons are growth, uh, income, and growth. And as soon as you know those are the three reasons why you put money to one side, then you start to go down a simple route of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So for the future, people want obviously an income because they want to replace what they've already got. They might want to beat inflation, especially today, so they want income and growth. And to be able to get that income, they need a big pot of cash. So they need a number of years, an amount of money, and that's the growth. So
Right.
everybody is on a path, whether they like it or not, of what we call accumulation followed by decumulation. So you build your money up with growth, and then that growth turns to income. And that's the premise of needing to know what your number is.
Right.
So your
Right.
number is based on time in. So if you're 30 and you want to retire at 60, well, your time in is 30 years. The lifestyle that you're going to have retired, well, some people might be able to have the same lifestyle, but it's unlikely. So what is that lifestyle? And so discussion is needed on what will you be doing? And what will you be? It could be golf. You might be a keen golfer now. Or you might have a wife who says, look, 3 holidays a year minimum.
Yeah.
All in somewhere exotic. So, and of course, a man will nod away. So, of course,
As we do.
idea that it's like could be 20 grand a year on holiday. So,
Yeah.
you've got to be able to narrow it down to numbers. Then you need to know what the expenditure is beyond that, and that's difficult because, as we all know, look at the price of a pack of eggs or milk. Everything's doubling because the government decided it would be wise to print hundreds of billions of pounds during lockdown and then blame nurses for striking for 6%. By the way, folks, if you thought inflation was nurses, inflation is the expansion of the money supply. In other words, it's always the government. So as soon as anybody tells you different, send them to me. So if you start with the 3 basics, you've got your time frame, could be 30 years. So you've got that number. Or it could be bad. You could wake up at 50, like many do, go, oh my God, I haven't done a damn thing. And then all of a sudden it might be 10 years, or you might be having to stretch it to 20 years. So you've got to start with the 3 basics, and that is attitude, capacity, and need. So the attitude is a mixture of feelings driven by experience. So the attitude to risk you have is, well, have you ever took any? How have you invested before? But most important of all, have you ever lost money?
Yeah.
Because if you've lost money, even if it's on paper, then you'll know how that feels and how you reacted to it. First time you lose money, you'll know that, and you'll always remember it.
Yeah.
Then you've got the capacity to lose money. So if you're 70 years old and you've got 5 grand left, you haven't got a lot of capacity, have you?
No, you're struggling. You're struggling.
Yeah. If you're 30, you might have some capacity to take more risk. If you're 50, that capacity is a little bit less. Instead of 9 out of 10, you might be down to 6 out of 10. And when you get in retirement, you might be 4 or 5 out of 10. But then again, you might be highly experienced by that, and your risk might be 7 out of 10 still. But then it's all right saying, well, that's my attitude to risk. But then, well, what's the need? If you've got £1 million in the bank, what's the need to take the risk in the first place? Well, it might be you want 100 grand a year. So you might need to take some risk, even if you've got what looks to most people like a hefty amount of money. Maybe your standard of living requirements are significantly higher than everybody else's. So you've got to ask what the need is. So if your need is 30,000 a year and you've got 2 million in the bank, then that's 1.5%. It's quite easy then probably to get a return, possibly even in cash at that rate at the moment. So you've got to mix the attitude with the capacity, with the need. So that conversation is think of it as 3 circles joined together, and you've got to meet somewhere in the middle.
Right.
And everybody's on a different journey. Most people will be at the accumulation stage as they're growing up, and then everything changes as they go decumulation. So how you feel about it, what ability to take a hit is, and the need to take it in the first place. Every single person's will be different because they'll be in a different life stage.
Yeah.
But then you've got to take into account things like costs. You've got to take into account inflation and what you've built up yourself and what you can put to one side. So everything is numbers. Accountants would love me because unless you've got a number to go at, and you've got to start with some sort of number, you won't know what that final number is. So, I've got a client at the moment wants £3,000 a month income. And they're not even 60 yet, but they are retired. So my job is to try to create an income that they've got certainty with ensuring that there's some we don't erode their capital.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And there's a variety of methods we use for that. One of them is probably most people never heard of. It's called a third way product, which I won't go into today. It's very complex, but it gives you an income that can be guaranteed and allows you to hold your capital.
Right.
Think of it like a lifetime annuity meets a drawdown product. So this is where being independent comes in. We're able to dip into interesting things. So
Right.
now you might know your number if you've got the time frame, if you've got the income need, if you've got the estimate of inflation. So then you've got to decide on reducing your standard of living now. And it's not an easy conversation because nobody wants to reduce their standard of living.
No.
But when you're putting money into something, especially on a regular basis, then you are reducing your standard of living because you're saving.
Yeah.
Saving is a form of reduction of standard of living.
Yeah.
So if you're doing no savings, then you are reducing your standard of living. And one of the problems people have, because they have no number, there's no time frame, no amount of money, then what they end up doing is not reducing standard of living until it's too late, and then it's quite painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're just spending all they've got and
Yes,
without a
that's great
consequence.
fun.
Without thinking of
Yeah,
consequences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
great fun.
you just lose your standard of living later on, don't you? When
Yeah.
you need it
Yes.
a bit more, maybe.
Quite
Yeah.
dramatically,
Yeah.
probably, I would think.
Absolutely. You know, you can go biblical on this. Everything is sacrifice, as one used to say.
Yeah.
So the Bible's 1,000 years old, and people go, oh, well, it's a strange book. It's like, well, forget everything about it but one thing: sacrifice. Yeah. If you're not prepared to sacrifice today for tomorrow, then when tomorrow comes, you're going to have to sacrifice your standard of living at that time. And how are you going to feel about it?
Yeah.
So there's always an element of sacrificing part of today for part of tomorrow. And that takes a discussion.
And what sort of things do you have to look at sort of to calculate your number then? Are you working out, right, what do we spend today? What might we be spending in, say, 15 years' time when we require? But how do you know? You don't know how much something's going to cost in 15 years, do you? You don't know what petrol's going to cost, what food's going to cost. So how do you sort of how do you work that back? How do you sort of do you guess? Do you have a good guess, or what's is there a formula?
The first thing is you make an estimation of what inflation is. You've got an idea of what people are spending today.
Yeah.
Now in the future, it's likely the mortgages will be ended. Even likely the nice car that they've got, where they've got two for a couple, might go down to one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That is an easy thing to work out. In reality, as no doubt, if you speak to lots of retired people, they end up looking after kids, doing lots of transporting around, so the fuel cost doesn't drop at all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And then the holidays, of course, increase. So where you've got a decrease in one area, you've got an increase in another.
Yeah.
And then reality hits your finances and you've got to make those adjustments. But having some number to go at and then each year adjusting for changes is going to help you. And you can have a fire and forget solution. Probably not the best idea, especially if you've got 10, 15 years to go. And that's where an ongoing support comes in and saying, all right, are we on target? Have you took too much risk? Have you took too little risk? Have you put too little in? Remember, you said you'd put this much in and then you didn't because the kitchen needed doing. So let us go back on track and think of it rather than an artillery strike. Let's go military. Think of it more of a cruise missile where the enemy Taliban guys on a motorbike going from house to house. Yeah, you could blow up loads of houses and still not hit your target. But if your target can be adjusted by little degrees here and there, then the chances are you're going to get closer to hitting your goal.
Yeah.
And let's face it, goals change. You might get divorced. A partner might die. You might end up with kids. And might get kids later on. I know a friend of mine is well into his 60s and he's got a 9-year-old. That was a shock.
Yeah.
Very big shock.
Yeah.
So, things change then, I've got to get more income. So all these things are part of that, and you can take in other things like, if you've got a buy-to-let house, but you've got to remember a buy-to-let house is a business. It's not an investment. It has customers, advertising, markets change, so that should be part of, including your state pension, perhaps, part of that pot of income. But as we've all realised, and we should have known before, we live in a world of uncertainty. So having a review on it each year, making sure you're on track, is very helpful, of course.
So is it a good idea there then to think, well, okay, to have a nice lifestyle, like you mentioned earlier on, we need £3,000 a month, and that'll keep us happy because we'll have our old age pensions and we'll have this as well. Is that the sort of thing? Do you work back from there? I mean, am I making this complicated, or do you work back? Do you sort of sit down and really go through everything that you do now, and say we're going to still be doing this in 15 years' time? And what's it going to cost in 15 years' time? Is there one way better than the other, or not?
Again, it depends on a client's age as to where there may be someone 35 who's just had a small inheritance and doesn't want to blow it. But because if there was at 25, they wouldn't even see me, they'd be definitely blowing it.
Yeah.
But at 35, they might be, thinking, let best do something. But at 35 now, again, what's changed? Well, what's changed now is that it might be better for that, say, 50 grand or 100 grand inheritance to pay off the mortgage.
Yeah.
Because now the mortgage is back to being a rabid dog again at 7%. Who knows? It could get to 15. Nobody really knows. You talked about dodgy governments, doing dodgy things, and have been known to do these dodgy things in the past, remember. So those of us are old enough to remember. So would it be best to invest that money or clear that debt? I mean, if it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it might have been, well, you're getting a mortgage at 1.2% and you're getting 5% in your investments. So things change all the time.
Depends. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
and your age and position dictates what you need to do with it. Best to try to spread your risk around, diversify, and try to avoid concentrated positions. So concentrated, loads of people I know, and no doubt you know them as well, and every penny's in property. 10 buy-to-lets. And for the past 20 years with super low interest rates, that's been great. And now the world's been turned upside down and they can't get a remortgage. And the income they was getting from it is now pretty much only going to pay the interest
mortgage.
And the government, of course, hate buy-to-let people and put terrible taxes on them and take away allowances. They made it appalling. So if you concentrate your position in one area, next thing you know, it's like, well, I was banking on that. And it's like, well, you should never bank on the government stitching you up, because it's
it's like putting all your eggs in one basket, isn't it? And the old
that's in my brochure. I have a nice egg full of a nice basket full of eggs.
It's so easy, like you say, to have the rug pulled under you. But it's not your fault, isn't it? Things happen, don't they? You can't legislate for everything.
And people are reliant on TV telling what the future should be for them, and they don't get professional advice. After 27 years, I've seen significant changes in markets, including the property market, and I've been around a very long time. I know you've been around a little bit longer, Ian.
Only just a bit longer. No, considerably longer.
I remember the 1988 double MyRisk crash.
Oh gosh, I can remember that well. Yes.
Yes, and it didn't recover in about 2001. So but then you've got people buying property in 2000s thinking, well, that's wonderful, not remembering or not even knowing that there was a crash. And it may seem a bit bizarre, but the last big crash was 2008. And how many years ago was that? 15?
Yeah.
They're literally, people have left school, and we've got financial advisors maybe that have been 15 years in a job and they've never seen a crash.
Yeah.
So things change, and experience is rather useful.
I can remember years ago, one of my mortgages, it had a 13 or 14% interest rate, and
Oh, yeah.
everybody's clamoring now. Oh, it's going to 7%,
1992.
and it's you think, blimey, that's nothing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I double that,
Yeah, and
most of
then
my
after,
income went on paying the mortgage.
yeah, and you might have had a 50,000 mortgage, and now they've got a 300,000 mortgage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
So
all.
having some sort of this guiding missile rather than artillery shell as a target, a moving target,
yeah,
is more important because your income and standard of living's also increasing. So if you set a plan for 30 years and you get promoted 3 times in that time, then your standard of living's changed. And if you was a single man, you set your target, well, now you're married and now you're married with kids. Yeah.
yeah.
I've got great advice for men who are thinking about getting married.
Don't.
Set your set your pension goals. Know your number before you get married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then tell the wife what it is. Yeah, and then she won't spend that money because you've told her what her future's going to look like.
Yeah.
If you get married and then say, "Well, what I want to do is put this much a month away," then you've got a challenge on your hands because there are so many homes for your money when you get married. The marriage itself, the house, the children, the kitchen,
Yeah.
the bathroom, and now you're trying to find ways of putting money to one side to achieve your number. And now the years are running out, and you don't want to have that conflict with your partner to talk about finance, because it's always a point. There's 2 points of conflict in marriage. One of them's money. So best if you manage your finances before you settle down and you have your number, then that can be part of the process of getting married, saying, look, I put this much away. It doesn't exist as far as you're concerned. That is our future now. It's not mine, it's our future. And that is a condition of habit into creating a number for the both of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is where it's important when you're having a number to get, if you are married or got a long-term partnership, then you both need to be bought in on that number.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you've got goals that do that.
Yeah.
And then you can't maintain that. It's important also not to base your finances on the Joneses.
Yeah.
Your finances are yours. Because of the social media now, there have been people that have been millionaires that have committed suicide because they thought they were unsuccessful all of a sudden. Okay, so when you're looking at your finances, does not matter what anybody else has got or where they are, because everyone's on a different journey and a different time frame. And they don't know what your journey is or how you got there, and you don't know theirs. So you should always look at your number and not what somebody else has got. Yeah, as both me and Ian know, we know a man who had a very fancy sports car, kept parking it up on double yellows everywhere. His name will not be mentioned. And it turned out he was spending an absolute fortune on a lease. There we thought he was rich, but he's £120,000 car, and he couldn't afford to buy it really. So he leased it. Yeah. So if you're basing your life on the fancy car your neighbour's got, it's likely to be on tick. So concentrate on what your finances are. Be realistic. Be honest with yourselves, and know what your number is.
It's about looking at the whole picture, isn't it, and weighing it up from all different angles.
Some good advice there, I think, Alan. I think some sound advice there. Now, if anyone wanted to discuss more about their numbers with you, what's the best way to get in touch?
Highly recommend.
Well, I would highly recommend that. Definitely, well worth having a chat with Alan. Yeah, definitely.
Well,
he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff, does Alan?
I've been around a long time.
You've been around a long time. I wasn't going to say anything to do with your age. I mean,
well, I'm pretty open to all sorts of different assets, which I won't talk about today. But being independent, you'd be surprised what we can recommend and what we do recommend. So, as far as contact with website, that's www.lazenbysfs.co.uk. Just tap in Alan Lazenby search on Google. I come up pretty fast. Or you can email me on advice@lazenbysfs.co.uk. Because there's not many Lazenbys, there's not many bold Lazenbys. So
should be easy to find then, Alan. Should be easy to find.
That's it. If you go on a website, we've got video testimonials from clients, so they can tell you
Cool.
how I operate, apart from the fact you've heard me.
Can I just ask? I should know this really, but do you do an hour consultancy or anything like that? A free chat for? I'm not trying to set you up here, but do you do anything like that?
I spoke to a young solicitor the other day for about an hour and a half. She said I rocked her world, mainly because I told her what the acronym law standard for, which is land, air, and water, and she didn't know that. But yeah, absolutely, it costs nothing to have a discussion. We have a cap and collar fee structure, so we are able to move forward once a client's happy. And it's a two-way process. I've got to be able to get along with the client because it's a long-term relationship usually, and they have to accept me. And everybody knows when you're buying a service, it's personality, and you've got to get on with people.
Yeah, cool,
Absolutely.
excellent. Oh, thank you for that, Alan. Yeah, interesting chat. Yeah, useful. I'm sure lots of people will get some benefit from that conversation there, and hopefully we'll get in touch with you as well to find out more.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, come back anytime you like, and we can talk about the history of money if you want.
Excellent. We might just do that.
All right then. Well, take care for now, Alan, and no doubt we'll see you soon.
Thank you for your time, Alan. Good to see you again.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. We hope you found it useful. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share. And check out our website for details of our networking events and some more great downloads that will help you with running your business.
We are Ian and Tracy. Bye for now.
Goodbye.